Zooming into the wonderful world of humankind today, we were met with some very interesting news. Take a look. Say hello to the Mississippians, a new official culture unlocked by the community completing a challenge. So loads of new things to unpack, DLC cultures, unlocks, how to get it, how to track it, and of course the star of the show, the Mississippians, a builder culture with a warrior and a sacred mound. We'll unpack that a little bit in this video alongside all of those other things I've just mentioned, how to get it, how to progress, is the challenge a little difficult, and future directions. Let's grace the like button very quickly and not muck about, because today's news is too exciting to delay. First and foremost, the big bad boy you'll want to hear about. Humankind has a new DLC culture based out of the American region. It was announced today that as the DLC, the Da Vinci event, I should say maybe over there is a new event in store kicking straight off, starting on the 25th of May and running its way through until the 9th of June. All of us, the entire community, will have the opportunity to contribute towards unlocking the Mississippians, a new official DLC builder culture. Now this, of course, will naturally bring a lot of questions. What am I unlocking? How am I unlocking them? Is it possible? Where will they be added to the game? And what will they do? So, let's start with the juicy, the Mississippians themselves. They're a builder culture, and they're likely to enter the game in and around the historical period that they were most impactful on, or to. And I should note that in the write-up, the developers mentioned specifically around the years 7 or 800 through until the 17th century. That places the Mississippians in and around era 3 to 4 of the game. Their warrior looks to be a very interesting unit, perhaps akin to the Aztec warrior. Low cost to produce, fairly easy to produce, strong and fearsome at what it does best. Again, this is just speculation. The only official news we have is that after battles, these warriors brought human trophies home. Then their enemy limbs' vital powers could be drained and transferred to the community. So maybe we could lead into that as to what their special promotion might be. I'll leave the speculation to you in the comments below, and I will absolutely be engaging with it as we go through, or at least reading through it all to try and see who can get the best theory. It's always fun, I think, also to come back to these videos after the fact and see how we did. The second part of the Mississippians that brings together this, and I would remind you again, builder culture, traditionally one of the more powerful cultures in humankind, although the recent update may have turned that on its head. We have the emblematic quarter, the Sacred Mound. To avoid too much crystal ball gazing, this one reads officially the political center of Mississippian cities. These great platform mounds marked the residence of elites and the graves of great leaders. So it's a sacred site, a site of power, and the political center of cities. Maybe, if I were to gleam into that a little bit when we hear that it's the political center, the heart of the city, maybe we think mechanics like stability or influence. Of course, combining with the fact that they are a builder culture. I'll be really interested to see where the human design team, where the development team behind Humankind go with the Mississippians, but my initial take is that they should be entering the game around those middle eras, as we can tell by their historical significance. It looks to me like they'll have a fairly cheap, powerful, and slightly unique warrior with a sacred mound, perhaps leading towards industry and political power, and they're a builder. Looks really, really neat, and I'm keen to try them out, which takes me through into my next point. How? And this is really neat. They've taken the event structure that we used to and changed it a bit. Take a look at this. Essentially, we have to work together to earn builder stars. Now we have from today, the 25th of May, through until the 9th of June. So we've got around sort of a 2.5, 3 week period, 3 weeks to get the Mississippians into our game. Now, they're well known, as the development team note, for their earthworks, and so this challenge is all about construction. As I've said, it's really those builder stars. And there are a few caveats, most of them actually pretty good ones here to help us along our journey of collectively as a community across many games, as many as you like, I assume, earning these builder stars. At 500,000 collective builder stars, we'll get a wallpaper pack with the cultural art of the Mississippians and maybe more. At 1 million Builder Stars, we'll get their soundtrack, and then, of course, really the one that everybody is probably after, at 2 million Builder Stars, the Mississippian culture will be unlocked in-game. Now, a slightly different step from traditional events in this game, although, of course, it's barely a year old. All rewards will be unlocked and become available with a future update, and they'll be free for everybody who owns the game. That's the official word. My take on this is that it will be rolled out through an update. It's unclear whether the G2G synchronization, syncing your games together account through the forum, is required as well. Traditionally, I would note that this has been, so something to bear in mind. Otherwise, though, they do say that it'll be rolled out, or officially they say it will, quote, become available with a future update, which is why I'm just a little bit uncertain about whether you'll just get it or whether you'll have to come and claim it first. But either way, it does notably remove some of the complaints around FOMO and that kind of thing from previous events, that fear of missing out. I think also the structure of this event will enable us to work much more collectively towards the challenge, right? Obviously, we're all working to a shared target instead of working as individuals to complete various goals that could be ring-fenced, requiring you to play a certain culture or a certain game mode. This time they've said, nope, no FOMO. The challenge is very straightforward. It's Builder Stars, and everybody can do it. The reward being rolled out for free in a future update. Nice to see that they're not ring-fencing it too much and opening it up for everybody. Of course, I would personally expect this, or at least anticipate this to be the case, because when you start to add new cultures, it can be a little bit difficult about how you bring them into a game without disrupting perhaps existing metas or multiplayer lobbies and sensitivities and who owns what. Nice to see the approach that they are taking here. And if you would like to track the progression of said approach, you can do that on the Games Together forum. Here you can see me playing around with it. Of course, it's very early days, so we don't really have a lot to track yet. And I don't think it gives an up-to-date interactive number. At least me clicking on it and mousing over it couldn't get it to bring one up. But nice to have a general feel for how far we are through. Speaking of which, a few people on the forums noted that this could just be too hard. So let's talk about that for a minute. Is this challenge too difficult? Well, it requires 2 million Builder Stars. And as noted on the forums, the last collective challenge, we were unable to make it to 1 million. So maybe we don't quite have the active player count required. However, there are a few caveats here. Firstly, the Humankind team quote at the end of their announcement, "Knowing how passionate our players are, we're sure you'll reach these goals easily, so have fun building your grand cities." Now, you might disagree with them, but the fact that they have put their faith in us suggests to me that we can probably do it. There are a few extra things that could help us along the way. Firstly, as I've already discussed, this challenge is much more open and flexible than previous ones. So in theory, we should be able to make it through and reach this target a little faster than we were able to in the past. Secondly, and it's important to note that mods are available. You can play mods and complete this challenge. Use that information as you will. And lastly, and the third thing that I really wanted to highlight here is that, as you can see from this gameplay footage, the Bolivar Update Beta is also compatible with it. One of the wonderful things about this challenge is that it's basically free and open for you to just play how you like and do it. Certainly you could perhaps play it in a more exploitative nature to try and artificially lift up the number of Builder Stars we have to connect or collect. It's important to note that stars themselves are pretty thirsty, right? You have to meet those district counts rather than just building individual districts. So despite being able to use mods and despite being able to play the Bolivar beta, I should note at the end of this section here around, is this too hard or is this too easy? This is a whomper of a challenge. If it was just districts, yeah, I could see us building 2 million districts. But man, we've got to get those stars. So don't forget, as my final word of advice, stick around in your era. Work your way up towards that Builder Star, because once you move through, you can't get those stars again. So maybe you might want to hang around and go for gold in at least the Builder Star category before moving through that's just a few tips and observations from things that I've picked up. Again, please do feel free to share yours below in the comments. It's always useful to hear the world from someone else's perspective, and even more useful to do a little bit of theory crafting around these updates as well. So, whether it is the new Mississippians that you're looking forward to playing, or whether you're trying to figure out exactly how we can earn these Builder Stars, 2 million of them, from now until the 9th of July. I'd love to hear from you below. Good luck in your future challenges around the Mississippians. I think this is a really interesting design direction for Humankind, personally. I'd like to see them unpack this a little more moving forward. And it also makes me kind of excited for future DLCs. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time.